Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game S Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about next-gen hardware from Valve, maybe actually coming out one day, and more. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Fanelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I think I can finally say I am fully recovered from a wild weekend in Boston. I was reflecting on the PAX East shenanigans, and I realized that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the earliest I went to bed was 2:15 a.m. And that's just how it should be. I haven't had one of those in a long time. Took a little while. I was a little tired when I get back, but I think today, Friday, I'm ready. I'm raring. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, I think an exact same arc where, I was talking to Sean last night. Mike was out of capacity, out of commission from being sick. And Sean helped out with a Game S Decides last night. And he was telling me how it's like he hadn't really done one of these with us before where we go from working all week, then working all weekend, then working all week. And it's like, yeah, at a certain point, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess we did work all weekend. It's fun. It's cool. I wouldn't change anything about it. But it was, oh, yeah, we were working. And then we went right into and then we were partying at night and hanging out and having fun. So burning the candle at both ends. I definitely was like, I came home like, that wasn't too bad. And then by like Wednesday, I was like dying in the middle of the day and needed to like lie down. And I did the same thing yesterday. And now today I woke up early. Steph even commented on it. She's like, why'd you get up early? I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to go to Dunkin' or something. I miss Boston. I want to go back to Dunkin'.
Boston. That's right.
So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good now. Ready to go. I'm going to see the Mario movie tonight. We got a lot of stuff happening at Giant Bomb today. I'm looking forward to doing all of that. So in a good mood, feeling good, and happy to be doing a Fanelli Friday. That's what I like.
Fanelli Friday. Hands out for Fanelli Friday.
Forget about it. Yeah, you gabagools. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. We're a bunch of internet video game doofuses, and we love having you at our back instead of the corporation. So go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. It ensures the future of independent games media on the internet, and we really appreciate everyone's support who has come through and done that. If you can't, we get it, no problem. Tell a friend, hang out with us, be there, be active in chat, be active in the community. We notice it, it means the world. But if you do become a premium member, it's going to get you ad-free versions of our shows. It's going to get you awesome new premium shows like Marry Me Tomodachi, 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles, and the new one, Portal Pals, which we have the first episode free right now, but you're going to be able to catch the rest of that limited series if you become a premium member. You're not going to want to miss it. The chemistry between Mary and Mike is just off the charts. So very good stuff. It's also going to get you. Dan did reveal the name, but it was just on the show yesterday. So I'll let the real reveal happen in the travelogue that's happening. Dan has got a new idea for Mike's show. Go watch the travelogue when that launches, and you can lodge your complaints about the name of that show as Dan has come up with it.
Okay.
As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you were watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with, it might not be too late to buy a PS5 for just $400. Interesting. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Sony officially raised the price of the PS5 on April 2nd. The cheapest model now has an MSRP starting at $600, but it's actually not too late to get the console at the old discounted price of $400. That happens to be the original launch price, which we have to count as a win in 2026. PlayStation Direct is still listing the Fortnite Flowering Chaos PS5 bundle at the old sale price. It includes the version of the console without a disc drive, so the digital version, and a bunch of PlayStation exclusive cosmetics for Epic's free-to-play Battle Royale. Sony even mentions that the bundle offers savings of $200, so this isn't a weird glitch or something. I also noticed, Jason, I went on Target.com. That's the only one I checked. As of this morning, it's April 3rd, so the prices were supposed to go up yesterday. As of April 3rd, the PlayStation 5 console Slim is $550 still, and the digital is 500 still. So those are the prices. Those aren't the launch prices, but those were the most recent prices before this alleged price increase. So there's some like latency, some lag here where I guess I wonder what's going on. Why not raise the prices right away? And then, because they're not even like on Target, they're not even marking this as like a discount. Like it's 600, but you could still get it for 500. It just seems like no one's rushing to follow through on these price increases. Is that just retail being like, we'll get around to it, not really paying a ton of attention? Or is there some weirdness about maybe we want to be a little bit careful with enacting these price increases?
I wonder if it's just retailers finally realizing the definition of the S in MSRP and that these are suggested retail prices, and maybe they're willing, at least for a little while, or at least until they sell out of current stock, to kind of—
That's probably what it is, right?
Take a hit, for lack of a better term, because they've already paid the distribution price to get the stock in store, so they can keep it for a little while until they start paying the new distribution price, and then the price increase has to go up. I don't hate it. I like that this is here. I hate the fact that we have to say that $400 is a win in 2026, the launch price of the discless PlayStation 5. And I hope this lasts, but I honestly think it's only going to last as long as stock is there. If you have been on the fence, I have a PlayStation 5 before, now is the time. Even if you don't play Fortnite, you can just give the codes to a friend who does, or hell, sell them online. I'm sure eBay would have something to say about that, since they're probably only found in the console bundles, and Fortnite people who are still playing and not completely dissuaded at the moment might be interested in something like that. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Right.
Honestly. And then another part of me is like, hey, Ethan at Kotaku, love you, man. Love working with you. Have you ever heard of Shut the Fuck Up Friday? Like, leave it alone.
Yeah, don't tell people about it.
I get why they're reporting on it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely one of those ones where, hey, how long are we going to get away with this? I think you probably nailed it earlier, where it's that stock they already had in the store. Like these, like when they entered into the system, when they got them in store, they just did it the way they were doing it. And when they get the next shipment, they will look at the new MSRP at that point, and that's when they'll raise the prices. Sony still selling the Fortnite bundle for $400. It's like, yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit weird, but kind of pretty similar. Like they're just kind of following through on a deal that they already had, and once that has come to its natural conclusion, and it's time for the person who's in charge of setting the prices on the store to go through it, they will work backward from the new suggested retail price themselves. So yeah, a little bit of latency, a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
Once again, it doesn't seem like these prices are going to come back down anytime soon in our lifetimes. This is forever. Who knows? If you want to play Grand Theft Auto 6, if you want to play any game coming out in the near future and you haven't upgraded, it is better to act now than later, or it's better to find a new hobby. I don't know. Like that's what a lot of people might be doing as well. But if you are dedicated to sticking with video games and you really like having that console, maybe the time is to move. Although, seeing this does make me think, okay, they didn't rush to raise the price. Maybe we are going to be in a situation where we get into the holidays and there's extreme discounts on these things during Black Fridays. And the new price is really just there to make that anchoring seem even better. It's like, oh my God, the thing is 50% off. And it's really $100 off of its launch price or something like that. But it feels like a much better deal because they've raised the price so much. I'm hoping that discounts will be more frequent and have a bigger impact than they have been once we get on the other side of these price increases. Do you think that's possible?
It is. We tend to think of holiday or Black Friday or holiday discounts as not being all that substantial, but I had not considered putting the price increase on there and then going back down to what they would have been to anyway if they just maintained typical market trends as they have in previous console years. I did see a couple of articles start to surface about people who stockpiled RAM who are now worried that the prices hurting and the price is dipping a little bit, and maybe something's going on with that, but I don't know if we want to trust that yet. That could shoot back up.
It's going to be like there's going to be a wobbling.
Next big idea is, whatever, it'll go back up again, and we'll be back in the same thing. I think now that you mention it, I like that Black Friday strategy a little more. Seems a little more realistic to make it seem like 50% off the retail price. Come and get it, especially right after Grand Theft Auto launches, assuming it launches in November. That seems like a perfect storm.
Yeah, and it could be, it could be a McRib situation, right? The McRib happens when pork belly prices drop below a certain point, and they're like, the McRib is back, and it's because they their margins make sense, and so they can have this high price. And if we go into Black Friday and oil prices return to a decent state, and they're like, okay, now we can ship these things around the world in a way that's a little bit more cost effective. We can afford to put out big discounts. Then they can do it. And if the world is still a mess, which it very likely could be, they don't have to do it. So it gives them a little bit more wiggle room on their side. And it means that, if you are trying to buy this thing on an impulse, you can't really do that. You're going to have to kind of wait for your deal and find your moment. Right now is one of those moments, unfortunately, as we know the price is going to still go up here any minute now at a lot of these retailers. But Black Friday could be another one if things return to some sense of stabilization, whatever that looks like in 2026. It looks very unstable still.
Who knows?
Yep, who knows? All right, Steam Deck 2 ditches semi-custom APU for off-the-shelf AMD silicone and eyes a 2028 launch. This is from Alexander K at Tech Power Up. Valve's next-generation Steam Deck 2 handheld console is reportedly planned for release in 2028, with significant manufacturing changes expected for this sequel to the highly successful handheld gaming device. According to a well-known industry leaker, Kepler L2 has been in the news a lot, talking a lot about these things. Posting in the NeoGAF community, Valve is targeting a 2028 refresh for the second-generation Steam Deck. However, the ongoing supply chain shortages of DRAM and NAND flash could cause disruption to these plans, potentially leading to delays. Interestingly, this period is when the shortages are expected to start easing, so the Steam Deck 2 could still be released on time, depending on Valve's sourcing capabilities, which we just know is not as good as like an Apple or a Microsoft or one of these bigger companies, but it is something they're getting better at, so hopefully they can figure it out in that time. One of the most significant procurement shifts for the Steam Deck 2 is Valve's choice of computing base that will power the handheld. Instead of using a semi-custom AMD APU, which is what the Steam Deck uses, Valve is expected to use an off-the-shelf AMD APU that won't require any custom tuning from AMD to meet Valve's needs. This is welcome news, as the latest Steam machine showed that Valve's reliance on a semi-custom APU solution made the hardware obsolete quickly while the rest of the industry advanced. With any semi-custom solution, stockpiling silicon and waiting for DRAM NAND modules to arrive puts pressure on Valve to ship a product that is significantly underpowered and too expensive. However, with an off-the-shelf solution, Valve could use the best available option at the time of shipping and optimize SteamOS around it. So I'll break that down, translate that for everybody real quick. Most people are probably keeping up with it, but just to give an example, like the Switch and the Switch 2 used custom NVIDIA hardware. And what you always hear about, like especially the Switch 1, but it was true of the Switch 2 as well, is like by the time that thing launched, it was an old chip, but it was because Nintendo and NVIDIA, or especially Nintendo, wanted to use something that was affordable and that they could kind of control. But that meant you're going to have to use a semi-custom one that is, stagnant for a very long time, so you could prepare everything to ship it. If you just go to AMD at the time, if you're Valve, and be like, all right, we are ready to start manufacturing these things. What do you have? Obviously, there's still some time to plan ahead, obviously. But you're going to be able to use something that is much more recent if you're using off-the-shelf parts. And that is what a lot of Valve's competitors do as well. So that's why some of those things came out very quickly after the Steam Deck and were more powerful than the Steam Deck really quickly and not that much more expensive. This seems like a smart move, especially because let AMD do the work. AMD has realized that this is a segment that is growing and is going to keep growing in terms of handheld gaming PCs. They are going to sort of make their hardware make sense for that space. You don't need Valve leading the way anymore, sort of charging headlong, taking all the bumps and bruises. AMD has already done that, so just go take advantage of that. And I hope that leads to a Steam Deck 2 that does come out on time, is still mostly affordable, and does have hardware that is actually very impressive. And I think all that's lining up. How does that sound to you?
I agree that it's a good choice in terms of keeping it up to date. I like that they're kind of, it also shows a bit of a restraint, I guess, because Valve always seems like they want to be at the forefront. So realizing that they don't have to be in this case is almost a good thing in a sense.
I think so.
But there's two key things here. Don't we have a machine to be talking about with Steam? What the hell are we talking about?
The Steam frame, the Steam machine, yep.
And secondly, if today's Lenovo news is any indication, affordability may be already out the window. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't see this. What is
this? The Lenovo Legion Go 2 increased price to $1,500 and $2,000. That's a lot of dollars. It's a lot of money for a handheld gaming console. To getting to the point now, something that I'm now afraid that handheld PC gaming in general, which was growing and showing a lot of potential in this space, may now slow down.
I mean, it's
simply
not just
because. Well, sure, it's all gaming, but PC gaming seems to be at the top end of that.
It's
$2,000 for a gaming PC is nuts. That's insane. $1,000 is nuts, and we're already doubling that. What the hell is going on here?
So there were handheld gaming PCs before the Steam Deck, and they were like $1,500. So they were very, very niche products that I always considered, and I'm like, this is just a bit too expensive for what I'm going to get. Then the Steam Deck came with a subsidized price. I remember Gabe Newell saying, hey, this price is kind of painful for us, but we're going to go for it. And they could afford it because they sell video games. That is the subsidy. And they were able to do that also because affordable computing was at its peak when the Steam Deck launched. And affordable computing isn't just like, slipping away. The door is getting slammed shut. And it's like that era of affordable computing has just vanished overnight, and it's kind of done. It's done so, and that is going to affect everything. But I think you're right to mark that these handhelds are a canary in the coal mine, and all these other companies that aren't Valve and don't have their own stores are just screaming, yeah, look, this is the price these things have to be for them to make any sense for us. And then you have INEO being like, we're just straight up canceling some of these things because we know we're not going to be able to sell it at a price that makes sense for anyone, and especially us. So yes, 2028 is a time where we hope we get on the other side of this and things are, I don't think they're going to be more affordable necessarily. They could be a little bit more affordable, but at least they will be stable and predictable in a best case scenario. And then they could sort of plan for a world where the price, it stabilizes enough that, the incomes go up and people can afford more. That's the best case scenario. And we won't be there until at least 2028.
No, I agree. And perhaps even into 2029 once hopefully change happens. And maybe in 2028, the buying power of the consumer might be a little bit better than it is now. But again, that's going to require a lot of big time changes that I just do not see coming at the moment. So now I almost want them to wait until early 29, maybe, because I would hate for this to launch at a price that is already out of reach for the people who want it. You know what I'm saying? I think that could be disastrous. And I don't really have a solution for that other than patience. But how much patience can they afford to have if they're developing this new device? It is a catch-22 that I do not envy in the least. And then today with the Legion Go news, I don't see that problem going away, as you said, anytime soon.
Yep. As you mentioned, that we have this other Valve hardware, the Steam Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, the Steam Controller. A lot of questions around those still. We are not really hearing much from Valve about that. There is people are beginning to say, hey, okay, we get it with the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame. The pricing on that is so variable that you don't know when you're going to be able to launch it. Can we at least get the controller? That's going to be a lot less affected by NAND and RAM prices. It could be affected by the goddamn helium shortage, which is an insane thing that we're dealing with. But again, not as much. So can we get that? And there's no word on that yet. Valve originally said, not originally, but in the follow-up as they were beginning to explain that, hey, we're not going to be able to tell you more about this right now, but we want to launch all three things together still, and we're going to do that soon. It feels like that's got to be changing, or else we would have heard about it by now. I don't know. Real quick, do you think we get these things like before the end of summer? I don't know. What do you think?
The controller, I think they want them to launch together, obviously, but I think if they have to press an emergency button, they'll release the controller first, let people get used to it, and then they could even, by doing that, get away with launching a machine that comes with one and a machine that doesn't. So like you pay a little bit up front and then you can get the machine later for a slightly reduced price because you already have the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas somebody who might be waiting, just get them both and maybe there's a discount there for the bundling, right? I would like to think they'd be out by the end of summer, but
I hope so.
at this rate, I mean, is not to go back to the common question, but is GTA 6 launching on PC?
No, not this year.
Because that might be something to consider as well. If everyone's so focused on the big console launch, will they have time if they wait until November to release the Steam machine? You know what I'm saying? So I think they would have to get it out before summer if they're going to get it out this year at all.
Yep.
End of summer, excuse me.
All right, let's keep going here. Sony Interactive Entertainment acquires Cinemersive Labs. At Sony Interactive Entertainment, this is a blog from the company behind the PlayStation brand. We are continually exploring new ways to push the boundaries of visual computing and deliver richer, more immersive gameplay experiences. Today, we are pleased to announce that SIE has entered into an agreement to acquire Cinemersive Labs, a UK-based machine learning and computer vision company. Founded in 2022, Cinemersive Labs brings together a specialized team with deep expertise in computer vision and machine learning. Following the acquisition, the Cinemersive Labs team will join SIE's Visual Computing Group, VCG, and contribute to our broader efforts in advancing state-of-the-art visual computing within games. This includes applying machine learning to enhance gameplay visuals, improve rendering techniques, and unlock new levels of visual fidelity for players. We look forward to welcoming Cinemersive Labs team to SIE and continuing to make PlayStation the best place to play. There's been two responses to this from everybody, and it is like, one, okay, great, the DLSS 5 yesification is coming to PlayStation, and two, how long until these people get laid off? Yes, because that's what Sony does. They acquire and then shut these teams down. Right. These teams, this is not a team that needs to get a project greenlighted at Sony to stay around. Will be just working on technology. And that's going to keep them safe at least through the early parts of the PS6 launch, because this is directly targeted at creating technology to improve the way PS6 games are going to run. We've heard that some of the reporting so far is, the PS6 is going to be really powerful. It's going to have a ton of memory. It's going to have cutting edge AMD CPU and GPU. For sure. But then it's going to have this AMD and PlayStation Pisser 3.0 tech that is going to be incredible at image upscaling, equivalent to what DLSS 4.5 is doing and better. And part of that is like, okay, but that stuff's going to keep advancing really fast. You need to be actively investing in it. And this sounds like them going, we want to be able to do that. And there's no reason to assume what they're talking about here with the machine learning is going to be similar to the DLSS 5 stuff that was in the news, but I don't blame anyone for jumping there. This is mostly, this company is known for doing stuff very similar to what people really like from DLSS, which is you take an image running at a lower resolution, you make it look like it's native 4K or better, and it has a great frame rate, and then maybe there's some frame gen stuff in there that can be improved over time. This is Sony just like, hey, we're a tech company. And I wouldn't be surprised if like Mark Cerny was directly involved in targeting these people and saying, hey, we need them to make the PS6 really sing. So it's probably going to be a good thing. But acquisitions in this space have been so harrowing that people's responses make a lot of sense to me. What do you think, Jason?
I definitely fall in the how long does Cinemersive Labs have as a company. And that's just, a trauma response at this point, for lack of a better term, because of all the things that they have done with the studios that they've bought so far. I kind of agree with you that they may have a little bit longer longevity because they're dealing with visual enhancements, right? But also too, how long until the machine learning buzzword sticks around, right? That's very adjacent to AI, which people are very against, as evidenced by the DLSS 5 yesification fiasco. I'm so sorry. I don't know that anyone's going to notice the upgrades that they would bring unless it's someone who really follows it like you or I or the chat. This is something that may just fly under the radar and we forget about it, and they're safe forever because they're improving the visuals for each first-party game that comes along. Now, Sony's first-party games, if nothing else, look fantastic. Already. So if they can improve there and continue that, great. But again, how close to the uncanny valley do they want to get before it turns into going too far? And we see what happened with NVIDIA. Remains to be seen. I am hopeful they can keep their positions for as long as possible, but based on track record, I just don't know.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, the machine learning side of image quality improvement has been a really exciting space for a long time, and then NVIDIA overnight poisoned the well with the DLSS 5 stuff. Everyone, DLSS started off kind of shaky. People were like, is this really working? Is it worth it? Is this kind of a crutch for developers to rely on? And then it mostly just was like, oh no, it really is a magic tech, and there's no reason not to use it. And if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, take advantage of it because it's just a net positive. A lot of times it'll take a game that you have running at like 720p and it'll upscale to 4K and it'll look better than native 4K, because it just knows better than the game itself what it's supposed to look like. And that was really cool. As soon as they switched over from machine learning, which is this targeted scientific approach to experts knowing what they want to accomplish by using algorithms, to AI of this more general, we have this thing that we just ask it, hey, can you make the game look better? And it makes everything have too much makeup and Chad jaw lines. And it's like, okay, you instantly just lost the thread. And now it seems very clear that you don't have expertise behind this. And this is just sort of letting this thing figure stuff out for you. And that's not what we wanted here. If the machine learning pipeline is always going to lead to that, people are going to be skeptical of the whole thing. I think you're right. Now, again, Mark Cerny, I think, is just in there being like, no, I fully understand this. I'm trying to make the best PlayStation possible. And these people are going to help with that. And it's going to benefit all developers because all developers are going to be able to take advantage of this technology that's just going to be built in to the PlayStation 6 development kit. I hope that's the case because I want the idea to make high fidelity games cheaper and more accessible to more developers. That would be great. Hopefully this just leads to that. But we'll wait and see. And then you're right. Once we get on the other side of the buzzword and once they sell enough PS6s and this technology is in place, can the studio move on to the next thing? This team move on to the next thing and keep themselves relevant to Sony, or will they be shut down? I mean, we know the answer to that. They're going to get shut down if they get on the other side of that. But these people, hopefully, they made their money and can just move on and start a new studio or something.
Sure.
All right, let's take a break. We got plenty more headlines to get into. If you want to skip out on these ad messages, there's a way to do that. Go to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member. There you can find ad-free versions of the audio and video programs. In the meantime, though, we will be right back. We are back. It's Game Mess Mornings. That's Jason Fanelli. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's continue on with the headlines here. A Game Pass for indie games. Meet Indie Pass, a $7 a month subscription launching with 70 titles. This is from Alex Forbes Calvin at gamesindustry.biz. Independent game publisher Indie.io is launching a new subscription service called Indie Pass on April 13th for $7 a month. The service will offer a revolving, curated catalog of distinctly indie games, launching with around 70 titles, including some from Indie.io's own stable, like Echoes of the Plum Grove and the Dark Deity series. The pitch to developers, according to Director of Growth Jess Mitchell, is increased discovery and a way to drive revenue from their back catalog in a crowded market. Indie Pass will pay developers through an egalitarian revenue sharing model based on player engagement, time spent playing their game. Mitchell is confident the service will not harm sales, but instead act as a rising tide lifts all boats situation. For users, it's a way to discover new or older indie titles through a curated collection that changes monthly, supported by a recommendation system that tracks player engagement and style similar to how Steam works. Mitchell states that the goal is not to have every game, but a specific collection for people who enjoy the distinct indie experience. But they plan to grow the player base rapidly, leveraging their existing audience and marketing. Games will be added regularly with no exclusivity requirement. All right. I get the idea behind this. I wonder what the appetite for this is among the people who play indie games. That's always been sort of a niche within a niche. The community that show up for indie games is relatively small, all things considered. Now, it's growing all the time. Indie games break containment. They do become the biggest games in the world. But where does a subscription service fit into that, Jason? What do you think?
I think there are two phrases here that I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. The first one was back catalog. So if you're adding things to this pass, like you have a current release out, and then to this pass you add like your previous two games or the game before it or something like that, that could be neat. It could be like an instant backlog sort of thing. I kind of like that. I also like no exclusivity requirement, which I think is where Game
Definitely.
Pass sort of faltered, I think. But then invoking the name of Game Pass, how much is this really going to help them? Right? We still don't know. We've received all sorts of mixed messages
Yes.
as to whether Game Pass was ultimately a success for both Xbox and the studios that signed up for it. It's so clouded in mystery, we don't know. And a friend of mine on social media who has worked in the indie scene for a while, they put out a post yesterday when this came out that basically said, no. It's a
Yeah.
similar revenue sharing model to Spotify, which
Yes.
is never a name you're going to want to hear in this space. And you won't make as much promoting your full sales of your game or get as much exposure as participating in things like Steam Next Fest.
So, or is it like a Steam sale, right? You put your game for
Right.
$1 in a Steam sale, probably going to work out a lot better than this.
So they would need, I think, to prove that there are methods to their madness, for lack of a better term, that make this just as good, if not better, than those avenues. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't think that this is as fruitful as it first sounds. Like when you first hear
Right.
it, you want to be like, cool, Indie Pass, basically Game Pass for indie games.
Just one more
Give me-
option on the table. Yeah.
Sure. But the more you dig into it, the more it's like, I don't know if this is going to work out for them.
I mean, I think they kind of give the game up a little bit when they're like, this is for making more money from your back catalog, right? This is because you can't do this with. I mean, you could do it with like a new game, but then you'd have to sort of design your game around this idea of making sure that people are playing it as long as possible, and that is a different thing than making someone feel really good about spending $7 to $25 on your game. Those are two different concepts. You don't necessarily want to make it so like, oh, you like this is all you're playing nonstop. That's that can lead to some poor game design decisions, I bet, as opposed to just being like, we want people to feel like they are accomplished and had positive buzzing feelings coming out of a 15 to 30 minute play session, and then maybe they come back to it next week and they have one more 15 to 30 minute play sessions. How much money is that going to make you on this service? Probably basically the Spotify equivalent of nothing. And it's okay. So are you have to rethink how you're designing your games? I bet that is an effort that will just not be worth it with the numbers that they're probably talking about being able to accomplish with this subscription service. So you would almost only consider it for a game that is sitting there in your back catalog that no one is buying anymore. And then who is going to show up with $7 a month to get that when they could just drop $7 every couple of months on Humble Bundle and get 30 to 40 games, and those games, a lot of these games could just show up in there. You know, I don't think we need to throw this out. I just don't know how many developers are going to actually bite at this bait. It's
a niche in a niche, right? And eventually it gets too niche and nobody pays attention to it. Now, there may be some very dedicated indie people out there who give this a try and think, you know what? It is actually working better than we thought it would. And everything turns around. I just, at this moment, 10 days before it launches, I don't see it for that. I hope it works. I hope it works both for them and for the devs that sign up for it. But at this current moment, I'm just not quite seeing the whole picture.
How are you feeling about Game Pass in general? There's words right now, or the word is right now going around that Microsoft wants to introduce new tiers, wants to get the price back down, under control. Obviously, that would mean maybe an ad-supported tier that is a lot less expensive, but maybe bringing the price down across the board. Because it does seem like, it got too expensive for most people. $30 for the full-fat Game Pass Ultimate that has the game, the day one games and everything else included. I said gay one games, but day one games. That's so much money. $30 a month is just so far away from the $10 a month that they were using when we were saying this is the best deal in gaming. It's not that anymore. But if they can get the price under control, is that something you're still interested in? Throwing out all the obviously there's all the considerations of Xbox and Microsoft and their relation to the war in Israel or the war in Gaza. But setting all that stuff aside, if it was a perfect company, I'm still not sure that they would be able to get this in under control in a way where I would be excited about it.
No, I agree, and I think that a big deciding factor for a lot of people that they're not considering or they don't care about is time. How much time am I going to devote to games that I can only get as part of this pass subscription, right? If there's a big release that doesn't release day one, I'm going to go play the big release. Granted, their first party games are day one on this, but where are they? Right? Like we're finally in Fable territory, maybe, after hearing about that in 2020, 2021. Forzas have come out. A couple other things have come out. Smaller games like Pentiment Keeper, which are good games, but not the first party heavy hitters that would sell this subscription, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe now if they start getting those back into constant release and you can bring that price down maybe $10, you might start to see people come in. And that's, again, if they were a perfect company. There is much to consider outside of this realm that people just on a moral ground won't do it, and fair play to them. Yeah. But as far as in the perfect world situation, I think there's still work to do to make it what they want it to be, and that starts with at least a $10 drop. And then more regular releases of their first party titles, because that is what you were selling the Game Pass on.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of, like, when I think about getting Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass or whatever, I can't get past the contributions to the slaughter and the ethnic cleansing and Gaza and stuff like that. But it's like, there are people who do not share my morals or try to ignore that stuff, and I think even they ignoring all of the atrocities is like, hey, can we? Like, this is just too much money. That's what I care about, and fair enough. I don't think Microsoft can get over that hill, let alone convince everyone to feel warm and fuzzy about Game Pass again. I think it's out the window. All right. Let's see here. Next story. Nintendo really wants you to press Switch 2's Gamechat button. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. We're not joking about this, but just days after Nintendo ended its Gamechat welcome offer promo, it's now running a new missions and rewards event, encouraging Switch 2 users to make use of the system's voice chat and video features. This limited time offer allows you to unlock a Gamechat themed user icons when you open Gamechat and complete the setup process. To get started, you need to press the C button on your right Joy-Con 2 controller. Of course, you'll now need to pay to access this feature. Here's the official description along with a look. But it's just basically, it's like they're offering you a reward to press this button, because now when you press the button, if you don't have Nintendo Switch Online, it takes you to a screen that says, subscribe to use this thing. So it's like they do seem concerned about getting people in the door through that route. And I'm just, okay, man, yeah, you put the whole button on the controller to thinking people are going to be pressing it all the time, and you gave it away for free for a while, and now maybe they're used to it, and they're pressing it, trying to talk to their friends, and they can't do it anymore unless they pay. I'm just, I don't know about all that, Jason. I'm like, maybe just make games that people really want to use the feature with, and that's the solution there.
Yeah, that, but also too, I'm looking at my Switch 2 here, and I'm looking at it at the top. Is there a native camera in this thing?
There is not.
There's not, right? Is there a camera on the televisions that we're playing the Switch?
Not the one I'm using, no. Yeah.
So what the fuck am I going to press that button for if I don't have a camera to use it with?
Yeah.
If you want to use that camera, you got to get me a camera. If you want me to use that feature, you got to get me a camera that is A, affordable, or B, make it more compatible with other cameras. Like, what are we doing here?
It's pretty compatible with a lot of the USB cameras out there. Not all of them. I had a couple that did not work, and I found that very frustrating, because the early word is it's going to work with any USB camera, and that was not true. But it is quite a few. Like, most of the ones that people are going to have in a drawer will work. But even that, like getting people to go search their house for an old camera and plugging it in, most people just don't want to do that. And they're not looking at this feature as something that they must be using. So Nintendo trying to encourage people to like pull them along through these little rewards, which again are just like icon photos that they give away in a million different ways. It just seems like a little bit desperate. And A lot of times these features like get announced at launch and then they just fade away and no one thinks about them. The idea that Nintendo's sort of sticking to their guns with this a little bit is a bit surprising to me, because it's like, we get what this is. It's one of those features you use at the beginning of a launch to put on the box to make it one more reason why someone has to have this, or there's the fear of missing out. And that's faded, and you can't recreate that FOMO now. Everyone knows what this thing is, and most people aren't using it.
How about this? If I'm going to pay the $10 to play Welcome Tour, if I complete Welcome Tour, you send me a camera.
You just send the camera.
But I can't, because don't you need a camera to play the game chat features in Welcome Tour?
Wasn't probably, yes. You probably do, yeah. So, I didn't think about that.
So nope. Shit. What am I going to do? Also, I need to go back to something you just said. This thread has to be pulled. Do you have a drawer of USB cameras just laying around your house?
I have a drawer of so much shit, Jason. Absolutely, I do. Okay, it's not a drawer. It's a tub. It's like one of those, the sealable tubs in the closet over there.
Okay.
There's like USB microphones in there. There's cameras, keyboards. Okay, sure. I tested some of these things. Cameras. I tested a few cameras, and they're in there. Yep. But
like also too, the USB camera peaked and has not reached the Xbox 360 camera. That little guy,
the same thing.
Perfect square. They've been the same ever since, and I will not hear otherwise. In fact, I wonder if that one would work in Game Chat. That would be fun. I'll have to see if I can find mine.
Oh, that would be fun. I bet someone has tested that, but yeah.
Anyway, I have to say, we talked more about this than I thought they would, so maybe Nintendo is onto something simply for the memes.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a weird Nintendo thing where they just like, we're going to put that button there, and then we're really going to push it. That's the way to get people excited about this service. And I think they're going to get data real fast that says this effort went nowhere, and almost no one is subscribing to Nintendo Switch Online to use Game Chat. They're doing it so they can play Star Fox after seeing Star Fox in the movie. That's the way to get people to subscribe to NSO. So, yeah. Good luck, Nintendo. That said, I still like Game Chat. I hope that the faces pop up in more games. I hope that we see it in, like, if Peak comes to, this is what Jan was saying yesterday, Peak comes to Switch 2, use the Game Chat thing in there, let the cameras pop, or the people's faces pop up over their characters, or maybe on their faces instead. I would love that. That's a really fun gimmick, but it's just not what people care about.
Right, I still like the idea of when the Switch 2 edition of Smash Brothers Ultimate ever hits, it like takes a still of your normal face. It takes a still of you like taking damage, and then every time you get hit, it just switches between the two. That would be I would buy a camera for something like that. But then again, I have no self-control when it comes to Smash Brothers. There's every Smash amiibo behind me, so maybe I'm the mark.
Yeah, no, PNG fighters would be a really fantastic tech. I would love that. All right, let's keep going here. FANTA news, everybody. It's your soda pop news hour.
Don't you want to?
Halo campaign evolved to shadowdrop / launch soon after Xbox Games Showcase? ? This is all based on FANTA facts. This is from a Reddit speculation thread. This person wrote, never posted on here before, but surprised no one is really talking about this. Xbox's recently announced partnership with FANTA could be a sign that Halo Campaign Evolved is releasing earlier than expected. In the scannable rewards lineup, there is a Master Chief's Fantastic Spartan Armor skin that is redeemable for the remake. In the Xbox Wire post, this is explained by the fact that it will be redeemable beginning at launch. However, all of Xbox's recent partnerships with Pepsi, there was 2 or 3, and Coca-Cola have lasted 2 to 3 months. I believe this is as close to a confirmation as possible that Halo Campaign Evolved will either shadow drop during the Xbox Games Showcase or not long after during the early summer. Tom Warren of The Verge has also claimed a summer 2026 release. I love this kind of stuff of people like who are clearly in the weeds, paying too much attention to all these things. Every time they've done a soda pop deal before, it lasted 3 months. So if this thing is launching then, and all these codes are redeemable in the game, it only makes sense that those windows overlap. Therefore, and thusly, we can expect Halo Campaign Evolved to launch by the end of summer. Okay, yeah, you won. Yes, I'm on board. Let's do this. And of course, it helps that Tom Warren's saying the same thing, just explicitly. But what do you think about the FANTA news on the streets?
I think this is intrepid detective work by whoever put this up there. It's a thread that I feel like I should have connected at this point, and I was too busy being very enthralled by Orange Master Chief armor. God damn it! This is fantastic news. That doesn't work. I tried.
I like that one.
But no, I like this. I like this idea. I had a feeling that it might be a shadow drop, right? It does seem like the kind of thing you announced it, last year, you shadow drop it at the showcase or like the week after SGF, since the showcase happens in lockstep with SGF. I don't hate the theory, but I think also too, you could probably get away with like 2 weeks after the showcase or something very close after the showcase to stay within this 2 to 3 month time frame to keep the codes live. I think there's some smoke to this fire. I think this is a very interesting Reddit conspiracy, tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that may actually come true for once. How about that?
I think so. We could start looking at a lot of other circumstantial aspects of this. We know Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out later this year, and we know that has caused these companies to think about how they're releasing their games. And I'll say, I heard in the last day or so that internally they're moving Fable later into the year. Now, it's not being moved out of this year; it's still coming this year apparently, but they are moving it later. So, and to get out of the way of Grand Theft Auto is how it was, told to me. So that means that's coming in like December or something like that. But that means if they're worried about the blast radius of Grand Theft Auto, and they have Forza is coming this year as well, right? Is that
yes?
So
yes,
Forza Horizon 6, that's probably coming maybe a little bit before Grand Theft Auto. You probably want to get this Halo game out as early as you can, and to me that says summer, so I wouldn't be too surprised by that. I agree with.
Horizon 6 has a date, May 19th.
Oh, okay, all right. Wow, man, that's very soon. Okay, well then all right, then that's coming. Then okay, so maybe later summer for Halo. Yeah. Then I could see that. But they want to have maybe that gap where Grand Theft Auto just takes up all the oxygen, and then Fable comes back not long after that. So
I could see that.
There's also Gears of War E-Day. That's right. That's this year as well. Thank you, chat. That's the one I was.
Oh, that's right. They're doing the whole direct after the direct. Direct. Oh man. That's not necessarily this year. They can say 26 all they want, but if that means fiscal year, it could blend into January, February, March.
Yeah, and then even if they're not saying fiscal year, it could easily get pushed. But I mean, with the fact that they're making that their big focus at this year's Summer Game Fest thing or the equivalent. Oh, you got a little bit of a crackle there in the mic. It's better now.
Was it the mic or was it me?
I think it was the mic. It's still crackling a little bit. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I wonder. I might have hit the wall.
Yeah, give that a second. All right, now you're muted, but yeah, give it a second. Maybe just select it again. I'll vamp here. Oh, I think you're back. You're back. Hello.
Good. All right, cool. Hello. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But no, that Gears of War could fall into. Well, no, maybe it couldn't. I would say Gears of War could fall into the Call of Duty slot, but they're probably going to come out with a Call of Duty this year too.
Right.
That's what happens when you buy all these fucking companies. Oh God. Yeah. Grand Theft Auto is really fucking people up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, and the more we talk about it, it's like, man, they have all those games, and like I said, I've heard Fable's getting pushed internally. They haven't set a date for that, so that wouldn't count as a delay. But I think internally they're trying to move it later than they were originally thinking, and yet they're still saying this year. That's starting to seem like, are you sure it's coming out this year? Because is there really enough time after Grand Theft Auto launches in November to get another game out after you have Halo, Forza, and Gears, and Call of Duty, as you pointed out?
Yeah, I have noticed that companies are starting to be more willing to launch in December. First couple weeks of December before the holiday rush.
Yes, that's definitely been established now. It's been
so
hasn't really hurt games. I should say.
I wonder if maybe Gears could fall in there as like the last hurrah before the end of the year. Once people have gotten Grand Theft Auto, or once I should say, most people have gotten Grand Theft Auto out of their system. A lot of those people will play online for a very long time.
Right.
But once the people get through the main story, however long that takes, or they quit on the main story and come back to it 6 months later, as is my way with Rockstar, I think there may be something to releasing in the first or second week of December, being the first one post GTA, and seeing how that plays out.
Fair enough. All right, let's hit these last few stories. Fortnite's brainrot characters have started a fan revolt. This is from Patricia Hernandez at Polygon. Shouts out to Patricia. Italian brainrot characters Tung 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 Sahar and Ballerina Cappuccina may have taken over social media in 2025, but Fortnite players aren't taking kindly to the presence of the AI-generated skins in the Battle Royale game. Within a day, fans of the community site Fortnite.gg voted the new skins the worst cosmetics in the entire game. Players who use these skins also may want to proceed with caution, as some Fortnite fans say they will be targeting any and all brainrots they encounter in-game on site. From the moment Epic Games It's on site for these motherfuckers. From the moment Epic Games hit a teaser for the 2 brainrot skins in last month's Chapter 7 Season 2 trailer, it was obvious that the inclusion of these characters would be divisive. At the time, some players dramatically announced that the brainrot characters were proof that Fortnite was done for. Since then, Epic Games has lost a staggering amount of goodwill, although maybe not because of Part A here, but it's lost a staggering amount of goodwill from some of its hardcore fan base. People were already angry at Epic Games for increasing the price of V-Bucks. Then the company laid off over 1,000 employees, including the person who designed Fortnite's most recognizable character, Jonesy. Sentiment then curdled even further as fans learned that one of the employees was terminally ill and lost his life insurance as a result of the layoffs. And he's not able to get new life insurance because he's terminally ill. Fans were also incensed that Epic Games was reportedly paying millions of dollars for bottom-of-the-barrel creator maps like Steal a Brainrot while refusing to retain its employees. Branded collaborations, which would normally excite players, were framed by fans as a costly and unwanted expenditure. Okay, look, the Brainrot stuff is... I get it because people just have an adverse reaction to those things. They are just AI designed. Although I would argue that the children who got into them have sort of adopted them and made them their own. And it's like the AI origins of them matter less because kids have sort of just done their own thing with them. But whatever. I don't blame anyone for again having that adverse reaction. I think this is indicative of Fortnite's deeper problems, Jason, they did get so focused on the Happy Mealification of Fortnite that they haven't really rejuvenated the central pillars of what made that game appealing in the first place, which was like the real gravitational pull of Fortnite. The real reason people kept coming back because they were having a good time with their friends. And now Fortnite has become so reliant on these partnerships and collaborations that it's like they got to find the next one. They got to find the next one. They got to find the next one. And eventually you find the next one, and it's the AI Italian brainrot characters that are so out of vogue, so out of fashion. Mamma mia, I would even say. Jason, I don't know. What do you think about all this?
This is just all of that good Italian karma from Mario coming home to roost. That's all it is. This is the adverse reaction to that. But no,
the yin and the yang, yeah.
The yin and the yang. No, I agree. And yeah, and before anybody asks, there already was a 6-7 emote, and somebody already did this tongue Sahur, or whatever the hell his name is, doing the 6-7 emote in Fortnite. Trust me, it's there. Brain's fully rotted. Anyway, I agree that this is just the tip of the iceberg in a growing tsunami of player issues, and it has more to do with this is just the latest symptom of everything else that they've been hearing about and dealing with. But I have 2 things that bother me personally about this. One, Ballerina Cappuccina is, if I have to be serious, admittedly very creative. I do like that name. It rolls off the tongue.
I think the Italian brainrot characters are just modern Cabbage Patch Kids. I don't see much of a difference personally.
It's that they were AI generated that people have such problems with.
But like
and I agree with that.
Yeah, by the time my kids got around to finding them, there was a million YouTubers doing stuff themselves with it, and it's just completely divorced from that. But whatever, yeah.
Right. And also, too, I have been asked multiple times to buy the ballerina cappuccino skin, and I am losing ground. So pray for me. I may be one of the ones that's being targeted.
I'm not going to tell my kids because they haven't brought them up in a while, but they were obsessed with these things for a while. So I'm like, as soon as they find out, I might be in the same boat.
Good point in chat. Garbage Pail Kids, not Cabbage Patch Kids.
That's right. Garbage Pail. That's what I meant. Garbage Pail. Yes, I always confuse those. Yes.
Cabbage Patch is the good one. Garbage Pail Kids.
Garbage Pail Kids. That's what I meant.
Picking his fucking nose. But yeah, again, this is just more, I think, of a symptom. It's just the latest headline in a growing list of bad headlines for Epic after, Christ, almost a decade of goodwill. There'll be at 2017 is 10 years of Battle Royale for them. Right. Mm-hmm. So it sucks that they're kind of tripping at the finish line before they hit that decade. And I read a headline somewhere that what's going on with this just proves that there's no such thing as a forever game. It's just your length of time lasts longer than most games, but doesn't mean you can be around forever, and you can fuck that up. And that's what Fortnite's been doing in 2026. Leaps and bounds more than any other game company, I would say. Xbox was there for a while, but now I think the mood with them is sort of flatlined while we wait to see what Asha Sharma's first move is, and then we'll go from there. Epic is just, and then I don't know.
Yeah, when we do look at what games really have been forever in terms of a decade or two, and I mean, Fortnite is coming up on its decade, right? In 2017, that'll be like a decade of Fortnite, maybe 2018 for the real Fortnite, but it's coming up on that. There is Roblox, which has been around since 2006, and it's like, what's the secret there? And it is, they don't make the game, the kids make the games. And then there's all the exploitation involved in that. But the kids make the games, and it becomes this community where people are just responding to like, oh, this is popular, so I'll make my variation on that, and then someone will have a new idea, and it's this self-propulsion engine that just keeps going and going. And Fortnite is trying to do that, but it doesn't. It has not been able to get over the hump there. Instead, they do have like Steel Brainrot, which is a user-created map and stuff like that, but they don't have the next big thing popping up. That Steel Brainrot map is just straight up lifted from Roblox. That's where it originated. So it's exactly. And it's so your goal here is to be more like Roblox, and that's not really the community that you've built up. You built up a community of people who are like super into games, and Roblox is a very it's just a hangout for children. And so it could be a little bit more messy because kids love trash. Kids love trash, and Roblox happily being trash sort of delivers on that. And Fortnite's kind of separated from that. And they're not going to be able to bridge that gap. But that was the solution for all these companies. That's one of the solutions that Rockstar's using for Grand Theft Auto 6. We know that they've acquired a bunch of user-generated content companies. They acquired the role-playing stuff, and they're going to try to integrate all that into the game itself. And I'm going to be curious to be like, once that online stuff really gets going, are they able to sort of like offer up what people liked about Grand Theft Auto 5 and 4 and Grand Theft Auto Online? Or is it going to be distracted by all this new stuff they're trying to put in there to make the game built to go forever from day one? That is a very different proposition than what they did with Grand Theft Auto Online, which is an online mode for Grand Theft Auto that turned into a forever game. So can these big companies figure that out? I don't know. And obviously Epic has not done that. And that's why it seems like they're just like setting themselves up to be acquired by Disney and let them figure it out. We made as much money as we can make from Fortnite. Are we going to be able to figure out the next growth potential? Maybe not. So just sell it to Disney.
I think that these big companies will never figure it out because any creative impetus they may have will immediately be stifled as soon as line go down. And sometimes you just have to let the creative process play out. And if line goes down for a little bit, it will go back up eventually, is the hope. But I think they will cut bait way too fast and cut these people down at the knees before they would ever let line go down. So I'm not confident in that at all.
Yep. Yeah. But their solution will often just be like, make the game worse so it makes more money from the people who are still playing. And it's like, okay, that's the death spiral.
And just to say, we're talking about being so reliant on partnerships. This whole thing was the beginning of the week. Their next partnership is already, I think, tonight in Phineas and Ferb. The Platypus and Doofenshmirtz are hitting tonight. So that train just keeps on rolling. Epic don't care.
Yep, Epic don't care. All right. Last story I have here. GameStop thought buying games online was a passing phase, says former business developer. This was a GDC talk. Larry Cooperman, who is a hell of a guy, kind of talked about like working with GameStop and how they really just thought it was going to be a passing fad, and that they never really prepared themselves for a shifting marketplace of people purchasing games at brick and mortar to purchasing games online. And while that was happening, GameStop continued to invest and go all in on brick and mortar, and now they're a Funko Pop company. They just sell Funko Pops, and it's man, how could a company be so wrong? I'll tell you. Every time, like it's not just in games, kind of across the board, the amount of delusion that you would find in the average boardroom and C-suite at any company would astonish you. You would like, you already think these people are stupid. I promise all of you listening, you don't think they're stupid enough. You are not properly, like your underestimation could be so much lower and still be overestimating what these people are capable of. And GameStop is a poster child for that, right?
They really are. I happened to get an email from them today that I mistakenly clicked on. I don't know why I did that. If you go to GameStop.com right now, the first thing on their bar of things that they sell is trading cards.
Yep.
That's what their big focus is on now, trading cards. They're slowly trying to morph into a video game / TCG company, Pokemon, Magic, what have you. And that was after the Funko Pop thing stopped and after the T-shirts and everything else. I did 5 years in those retail trenches back in the day, from 2007 to 2012. I did midnight releases.
He sold Carl Germ some Halo, apparently. He was saying in chat.
He loves telling this story. The first step, Halo Reach, he bought that copy for his copy of Halo Reach he got from me, and then a little while later he worked with me, and that's where that started. So yeah, it's that was a wild time, but it's completely different now, and for the worse. If I have to be honest, people wonder what's going on in the game industry that makes people care less about traditional video game. The biggest retailer about traditional video games stopped caring too. So what is the common consumer supposed to do?
Yep, exactly. A couple of stories that I did miss. We'll just hit these the headlines real quick. Last of Us multiplayer game was roughly 80% complete when it was canceled, claims former director, kind of in line with what we've heard about that game. It's a shame, but yeah, they found out the day before it got announced because they didn't want it leaking. It's like, yeah, that also sounds pretty familiar, pretty right. And then Nexon, just out there giving up the game, calls Arc Raiders a, quote, Trojan horse for proving controversial AI tools can build AAA hits with smaller teams. Yeah, well, I mean, look, I know that stuff is coming. I was watching the highlights of the game last night because I was doing the podcast when the Red Wings finally won a hockey game again. And the next video it gave me was this person's like, I'm going to use all of the big AI tools. So like, Chat GPT and Copilot and Claude and Gemini. And I'm going to take this idea like, hey, make Mario Kart, make me a Mario Kart. And he just went from one to the other, asking it to write all these lines of code. And it would spit it out and it'd be like, this is pretty okay. Now I just did 4 prompts with this one. I'm gonna do 4 prompts with the next one. Hey, can you improve this? Can you make the world look better? And he just kept going through this process. And by the end, he had something that looks like something you could find on like Newgrounds or whatever. It's pretty close to a working video game. This stuff is coming. And I think that Nexon just being like, hey, yeah, we're gonna prove it can work and get one over on people. I think they are mistaken that is the right strategy, because I think what people want here is to be included, and by people I mean the people who play the games and the people who make the games. And all that these companies ever say is, we don't need you anymore. And it's like, well, if you don't need us and we can see what these tools are capable of, isn't just the logical conclusion here we don't need you? Like, how does this not end with, we don't need Nexon anymore? What do you think why do you think you're necessary and all the developers aren't necessary and all the people who hate AI are kind of unnecessary, or you can get one over on them, and then you're going to be standing as the king of the mountain when this is all done? No. Like they cannot help but sell the rope that would be used to hang them with. It's just over and over again. That is what we see here. I don't know. You have any thoughts on this before we move on?
all they see is line go up, as I mentioned earlier, and that line is eventually going to wrap around their necks and be the ones that toss them out.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We are going to move on from the headlines. Thanks, everybody, for a good week. We have a poll question from yesterday that we should get to. Let's do that real quick. I'm going to get the most recent updated results here.
I forgot to post it.
We don't have a poll from yesterday, and we never did. Get out of here, all y'all. Instead, what we do have is the Bomb 12. We'll get to that here in a second. Let's wrap everything else up, though. Jason Fanelli, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
JasonFanelli.com on Blue Sky. Big Man Fanelli on Instagram is where I'm the most active with my nonsense. Just posted a cool interview yesterday from Boston, PAX East, with Megan Everett, communications director at Digital Extremes for Warframe. Fantastic conversation with her.
She's great.
Talked about the Switch 2 version, talked about the latest update, and talked about her flat out, there will be no generative AI in Warframe.
Yes,
ever.
I saw that headline.
Direct quote. Loved being able to write that. It's a very cool thing. Go read that and her words there. Also want to shout another article that went up on GameSpot yesterday that I did not write, but I think is brilliant. And that is Jessica Cogswell. We are a friend of the show. Good.
Big fan
One of my editors posted a review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie as written by her 4-year-old. She asked the 4-year-old questions, and he answered. There is an Easter egg spoiler in one of his answers. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all of any of the Easter eggs, maybe skip it until you maybe skip it until you see the movie. But it is it's hysterical. I loved reading it. I envisioned myself when my kids were younger doing the exact same thing. It's just a really, really cool piece to read there. But also recently reviewed MLB The Show for Kotaku. My review's over there. You can read that. Trying to think what else I have going on here that I can actually speak on.
You're going to be on a travel log on giantbomb.com.
Yeah, yes. And I'm apparently becoming anamorphing into an eagle or something like that.
Basically, yes. It's fantastic.
When's that going live today?
I think so, right, Jan? We're going to put
in a
today
couple
or tomorrow?
Minutes.
Couple minutes. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Lunchtime viewing for your East Coasters, West Coasters, breakfast time viewing. Either way, get a meal, watch the travel log. It's going to be a good time.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Giant Bomb, like Jan said, that travelogue will be going up here in a little bit. There's going to be an ad-free version of that you can get on the website if you're a premium subscriber, so just go ahead and watch that there. I am going to be UPF will be happening later today we do that 3 p.m., right, Jan? 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
Yep.
Samantha Coleman's going to come hang out with us. She's bringing her new game, so check that out. Before we play her new game, we'll probably play some Super Mario Brothers Wonder, meet up at Bella Bell Park. I might, if we have time, I might drop in some Jeezy Christ. I am Jesus Christ. I got that downloaded. We'll hang out with Jeezy Crazy, see what he's up to. Although I don't know how much we're going to be able to get into his whole thing in 30 minutes or whatever.
Perfect game to play at 3 p.m. on Good Friday. If you're a Catholic person, you know what the significance of that time.
Fantastic. We'll see everybody. Come hang out with us, though. We'll wrap up the week in a real fun way during that show. All right. I think with all that out of the way, it is time, everybody, once again, for the Bomb 12. Here we are. These are the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing video games. Went ahead and asked y'all. You came through with your suggestions to add to the Bomb 12. I tallied it all up, and here we are with number 12, Absolum, back on the list. I wonder what happened there. I mean, maybe it just continues to get word of mouth, and I'm not sure if maybe it launched on other platforms, but that is a game worth going back to. Number 11, Mini Shoot Adventures. Number 10 is Raccoon, which I spelled incorrectly here. It just says Raccoon.
Raccoon.
It just says Raccoon. You know, I'm going to fix it right now. I'm going to fix it right now. Here we go. Let's see. Raccoon. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, the number 9 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Number 8 is Hades 2. Number 7 is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Number 6 is Resident Evil Requiem. Number 5 is World of Warcraft Midnight. Number 4 is Slay the Spire 2. Then in the top 3, for I think the first time, Crimson Desert continues to sort of crawl up the chart. It was number 4 last week. Number 2 is Marathon, as it continues to swap places back and forth with number 1, Pokemon Pocopia. Last week, Marathon was number 1. The week before that, Pocopia was number 1. Those are the games of the moment right now. When I talk to friends, what are you playing? It's Marathon or Pocopia for the most part, and then a smattering of other games. And I continue to want to play more of both, although more Pocopia at the moment because I haven't finished that yet. So
sure, I haven't started it yet, so I get it. But listen,
worth
folks, real quick before we leave, you see this Bomb 12 next week? I don't care what slot it's in. I don't care. I want to see the words, "I am Jesus Christ." Make it happen.
Well, we'll see if that happens. If you want to help contribute to make that happen, go to giantbomb.com. If you scroll down, you can find the Bomb 12 for the week. On the left-hand side, there's a little Vote Here tab. You click on that. It'll take you to the Google form. You could submit the game that you're playing. We'll get that all tallied up for next week's Bomb 12 to close out next week. Looking forward to that, as always. With all that out of the way, though, I think it's time to say, Jason Fanelli, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
You're not just saying that at gunpoint, are you?
And I am saying it at gunpoint, but it's a good gunpoint.
I appreciate always being here, man. Till next time.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.